Okay, so let's have a look at the counter element, an element included in the OctoMono bundle, which will animate numbers going from one specific starting number to an end number. Let's access the dashboard, and then let's have a look at the counter element. Okay, you can see that by default it starts with 3 numbers. You can obviously delete those numbers. Let's delete 2 of them. I strongly suggest that when you set up a specific style for one number, because you can add like a box around it, maybe some border and so on, that if you have a specific style that you like, to use the copy function here if you need more numbers. Like this, all those styles are inherited, unless obviously you want to have different styles for each of them. And even if you do copy the styles, you can still modify afterwards individually each element. So let's have a look, for example, at the global settings here on the left, where you can have something that says numbers per row. This would obviously be visible for desktop, so maybe you want just a 1 and then you set them all in blocks, or maybe you set it to 3. You can set it even higher. But if you're just going to be using 1, for example, I would always leave this set to 1, because like this, it would take up the full width of the container it is being added to. Okay, I'm going to leave this just to do this, and obviously you can create some spacing between those cards. The spacing is not visible right now, but if you would have to, if you were to add a background or a border, those spaces would become visible. So let's look at the number styles. You can add animations that are going slow, normal, or fast, which is up to you. The repeat animation is something that when the number will animate once it is being scrolled into viewport. So if this happens, you can set it that this animation only has to occur once. If you do want to repeat the animation so that each time that a visitor scrolls the number out of view and then back again in view, then the animation will take place. Then you would have to toggle on this repeat animation option. Then you have the font family option, where you can simply add the font name that you want to use. So I don't know, maybe you're probably loading on your if we leave this to inherit, it should inherit the font from your body it is being used on, so from your theme. In case it doesn't, then you simply would type in a name you will have for your font. So let's, for example, say that we're using Open Sans, or for example, then you see that it modifies. You can also always add a fallback function, a fallback font, I mean, of course. Or maybe you just have a serif font going on and then you can modify it. But do make sure that when to modify it, that the name is correct. And then when your name is correct, you can also obviously check between the different font weights that you are using. You can change a number of those, the color of the number and the font size. You can change the format as well. So now, for example, you can see that those number format is using a comma, and when we're using a decimals, it will use a dot. You can change that to the likes of your need without using. So for example, we're going to modify this number just so you can see. So 99, and then you can see that we're using a dot, but we could have been using a comma, for example, which is a bit weird, of course, using 2 commas. Then this one has to change as well. So let's modify it back to a dot. You can align your number, and then let's have a look at the prefix and postfix styles. So you can add some characters before and after the number, and for which you can also modify the font family if needed. You can also change the color if needed, and then the font size. You can also create some separation between those if you would like to. I want to leave it as is. To modify each of those characters, you would need to do it individually, because obviously not each of those will be the same. So maybe let's have a quick look here. You would use something, I don't know. You can add what you want there, or you can leave it blank. So next thing, let's have a look at the captions. you can see that there is a caption or title that you can be added under or above the number. If you do not want to use it, simply toggle it off. When using it, you cannot change this text, or you do not need to specify this text inside of our in our dashboard. You simply would do it inside of the Weebly editor. So you would have a text field there becoming available, for which then you can change the font size, the color, and the alignment. There is also a custom CSS option, but this is only for experts who know how to use custom CSS. So now let's look at individual styles. So for example, as you see, we set this number to a specific font family. You could change this individually for each number if you would like to. If you leave this empty, it will fall back again to our general styles that we set here in the left sidebar. As for font weight, it would also be the same. Okay. If you want to reset it again to the thing, there is a reset button. For the color, we could do again the same as well. So maybe this number you want it to be blue, but then you made a mistake and you want each number to be the same, then you can simply reset the color and it will inherit again the general settings. For the font size as well, you can change this, but again, leave it empty if you want to use the font style used on the left, inside of the left settings bar. For alignment, again, you can also do this individually for each block. In case you do not want it, just reset it. And for the prefix, we have about the same options. No, this is actually postfix. So where you can add characters you want. So this would be after, and this would be before. And then you can also give individual separation, and again, an individual font, as well as a color and the font size. There is an option of including an icon as well. So when using an icon, you can choose between a large list. So let's, for example, do something like graph, and then we can include a graph element like that. You can also use your own SVG if you would like to. You will, when using this, you will get an input box. In this input box, you would have to include valid SVG markup. So only use when you know how to use valid SVG markup. We're going to be using this icon for now, and we're going to change the font size as well and set it to 70, for example. You can set the colors. You can also use a wrapper if you like, for which you need to specify the width and the height. Since our icon is taller than this, then maybe we should set this to 120, for example, just like that. Also for your icon, you can use a gradient color, for which you can specify 3 colors, as you can see. The icon background as well. Let's leave it just like that. And the wrapper, and you can also position, of course, the icon itself. So maybe you want your icon to be on the right of your number, under your number, or on the left of your number. That's all up to you. I'm just going to leave it above the number for this example. And then for the box, which we talked before, you can also use a background color, which is set here. Okay, just let's set it to a light grayish color like that. And then maybe you want to set a border. Just gonna put it like that. The border radius set to 10 pixel. There's also an option of setting some box shadow on this, and then you can select it when you want it on normal and on hover, and you can see that there is some additional box shadow coming. There's also a hover effect available if you would like, between grow, shrink, move left, right. So for example, grow, it would grow, obviously, move to the left, and so on. I would only use this hover effect when linking the box. So if you would link the box, you get the option, of course, of adding a URL you would like to. So as I was saying before, maybe once you set all those styles, you like to apply this all to a thing, so you do not need to enter inside of all of those things and set the same settings. You would just use the copy functions as mentioned before. So now you have 3 exact same styles, and the only thing you would probably need to do is change that number and maybe also the pre and post fix. Just let's say like that. So I think that's about it. Now you could also probably change the icon, but I'm not going to change the icon. I'm just going to save it for this purpose. It will work just fine. Okay, so now we got our elements here. I'm going to be dropping it a bit lower on the page, so later on we can see the animation on the live page. This could be our title. As said before, we will have a caption, a title available, for which we can use the options from Weebly. Title here as well. You can increase that, maybe change the color. That's obviously all up to you. I'm just going to be leaving that like it is. And what I wanted to show next is we're just going to go to view the live page for a moment. Okay, so let's refresh the page. So now when we scroll down, you can see that our animation is taking place. So this is the counter. We have set it to slow. And as you can see, now that we scroll the numbers out of view and down again, the number will remain the same. But if we were to set this to, let's access dashboard again, to repeat animation, just like that, let's set it to normal, press save. And publish again. Okay, and refresh this. And now let's scroll down. You can see the number, the animation is taking place. When scrolling it out of view and back in place, it will repeat that animation. And this will go on an infinite time of numbers, of course. It will only be repeating itself, obviously, when you scroll it out of view and then back again into view. So this is the number counter. I hope you like it, and you will find it in your OctoMono app included in the bundle. Thank you.